Hi everyone. Welcome to the session. And today we have amazing session planned out for all of you regarding open source. We have Vineet Shadio and Niharika Arora joining in with us. We welcome you both. You can start the session. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen and then we can start.
Sure.
Cool. So, everyone. So, welcome to the today's session. So, myself Vineet, and a little intro about me. So, I'm a senior software engineer at Postman. If you know about Postman, so Postman is basically API dev platform. Other than my work, I'm also quite active on open source community. So, and I'm fortunate to be one of the GitHub staff from India. Uh, and I, Niharika, if you could just introduce yourself.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you, Vinny. So yeah, my name is Niharika Arora, and I am right now currently working at Google. I recently joined Google and have been a Google Developer Expert for Android. Then I am also a contributor for Arogya Setu, if some of you have heard about it. And then apart from my work, I love to do public contributions like working for on a project on open source or doing some public speaking, then or writing about anything regarding around the Android development. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You have given a spoiler here. Arogya Setu thing.
Yeah.
Cool, folks. So we'll be talking about like how you can actually get onboarded to open source and what are the opportunities that you are going to get in on GitHub, right? And I think that just be with us for next 1 hour. We make you understand like why GitHub is important, and we'll also talk about some of the career opportunity that comes out of the community and comes out of the GitHub, right? So going ahead. So the agenda of the today's talk is that first we'll briefly talk about introduction to Git and GitHub, and about how you can actually begin your open source journey and how you can be part of different open source initiative. For example, like Google Summer of Code, Girlscript Summer of Code, etc. Right? And talk about communities. So you fetch job, right? So I think open source community is a right place to connect with the people and learn from the people. And then I think this was a special request. We'll also talk about the next steps, meaning that in your career how you can actually decide your next steps. I think Niharika will be throwing more light on these. So at last we'll have Q&A. Please interact with us and we'll be more than happy to answer all your queries. So we'll start now. So I have put a slide here. If you see, there is a screenshot, right? It says that I have been making a Chrome app called Postman, right? So this is a Stack Overflow thread which was posted by Abhinav back in 2012, right? So like the Postman started as a open source extension, and that was created by Abhinav, right? And now right, from open source extension, now Postman is the India's largest SaaS startup and world's #1 API dev platform within 8 years. So now you can think, right, in open source, like I'm giving you an example, right? And that's how I ended up joining Postman, because I was into open source and I knew about Postman, that Postman is something they are doing some great stuffs, and that's how I actually applied for a job there, and I got my job there, right? So I think there are so many companies which actually come out from GitHub. One example is Postman, and there are so many examples, right? And they are making business out of there. So all I have to say here is that open source is not only about writing code, but there are a lot of career and opportunity to create a startup through open source is also there. So now I think after knowing this, you guys must be quite excited, like how open source can make this feasible, right? That a company can emerge out of the open source. So going forward, now let's talk about version control first, right? What is GitHub and what is the version control, right? So if you see on the right side of my deck, I have put, the index HTML, index underscore HTML, the index underscore HTML, right? This is me back in 2007 when I was learning web development, right? I used to, whenever I make some changes, to track versions, I used to create different files, right? I mean, I wasn't aware of GitHub. I wasn't aware of any version control at the time, right? So it was very for me to manage my versions, manage my software, right? And the code that I was writing. And if you see, this is a bad practice, right? So if you are making your file in this way, I mean, it's not scalable. And this is the problem which Git is solving, right? Git gives you version control system, meaning that you can maintain multiple versions of particular software using Git very efficiently, right? So that's what Git does. Going to the next slide. So now I think what is Git, right? So Git is basically distributed version control system, meaning that if there is a software that you are building, you will be contributing from your college, Delhi, and maybe Niharika is contributing from her place, right? I'm contributing from my place. So that's how we collaborate each other, and it's a distributed system, right? To maintain the versions of a system, and to collaborate and make some software. So that's what Git is. And GitHub is, you can say, one web app that powers Git, right? So you can say, right, you GitHub, right? In a I mean, plain and simple. I believe that most of you must be aware of GitHub. You must have an account on GitHub. So we won't talk much about GitHub and how to create pull requests, or how to create profile, or how to commit and all, right? Because I think all these things you can find easily on internet. You are just a Google search away, right? So I think one quote which I always say, right? So if you are a techie, your homepage should be GitHub, not Instagram, right? So I think we all are on different social media, right? So we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Snapchat, we are on Facebook, and we spend a lot of time scrolling, right? On Instagram, we have a lot of reels, a lot of memes, right? And we spend a lot of time scrolling Instagram. That's cool, right? I mean, that gives us happiness. We keep on tagging our friends. That's again cool, right? But I think, in my opinion, right, if you spend a lot of time scrolling Instagram, you might not learn something new. But if you stalk someone on GitHub, if you scroll your GitHub for 1 hour, you might end up learning something, right? And I think that's how GitHub is supposed to be, right? And GitHub is, you can treat this as your homepage, right? So now the point is, like, there will be one doubt in your mind, like how we can make that Instagram, right? So Instagram always comes up with a lot of funny things, a lot of good content, and we can collaborate, we can comment, we can connect with the people, right? But on GitHub also you can do the same, right? So for your surprise, right, I mean, one of the GitHub star, right, Ahmed, uh, he met I mean, his love of life, right, on GitHub, right? And then both of them dated, and now they actually got married. So I think, next level social media for all of us developers, right? So I'll just try to show you some my GitHub profile, like how I actually use my GitHub, personal GitHub, and that might give you a little bit feel of like how we can actually make it social media sort of feeling, right? If you see, right, this is my, and like I am collaborating with different people. These are my recent activities, right? So basically, if you see, I mean, on chat, on discussions, we talk a lot, right? So I think recently I'm working on this project on Hacktoberfest 2021. I think I'm really thankful to Aman, and there are a few folks who are working with me from your college also. We are actually connecting with a lot of people, right? So different people from different communities, they to us and they are asking some question, they are introducing themselves, and we are actually getting connected with them, right? So sort of Instagram, you can see, but the best part about GitHub is there is no DM options, right? Like you can be on public, you can talk with anyone, you can actually coordinate, collaborate with others, right? So that's another good part about GitHub. And I think being an engineer, right, so I think GitHub is the right place to build your portfolio, right? If you see, like, the influencers, or maybe for example, people like who may create contents on YouTube, and then there are people who creates content on TikTok, there are people who creates content on Instagram. But as a software engineer, content, right, or generate code or write software or make your portfolio, I think GitHub is the right place, right? So if you see, if you go on GitHub, like you can maintain your profile gracefully here, right? So you can put all information about you. You can join different organizations, right? So the best part about GitHub is that you need not to work for Google to actually contribute to Google, right? So you can contribute to their open source libraries. You can contribute to Facebook's library. You can contribute to Postman's libraries, right? So I myself is part of different organization where I contribute sometimes, right? So this again gives you a good feeling, right, that you are contributing to different organizations, and just by writing some piece of code to make some difference. So that's another good part about open source, right? So another interesting thing is that these green dots, right? So try to be consistent here, right? I'm not saying that you have to make it complete green, but at least within a week make some commits, right? 10-12 commits, and be active here. I think like all of us somehow we maintain a streak on Snapchat, right? We send, I mean, like the blank apps just to maintain this streak, right? So that's cool, but maintaining a streak, maintaining these green dots is even more cool, right? As a software engineer, I feel that's more cool. So you can even try that out. I'm very bad at it. Like, I'm not very consistent here. I'm not very regular because on weekends I usually don't work. But I think you can try that out if you are able to, make your GitHub complete green. I mean, that shows your consistency, right? So whatever code, whatever piece of code that you are writing, try to push it on GitHub, right? So now one thing I want to mention here is, a lot of you think, I mean, just by looking at different GitHub profiles, you might find it very overwhelming because the people, they are contributing since long. So I think you should never compare your first chapter with someone's last chapter. So right now you can see a lot of green dots here, right? But if you check my first year on GitHub, right, that was on back in 2016 when I was in my college, second year of my college, right? Then if you see, I just have 4 contributions, which is bad, right? Now if you see, a lot of people who are starting with building full-fledged application, right? For example, you can check out Aman's profile. He has done a lot of good jobs, right? Even in second year of his college. There are so many other examples of such folks I met on GitHub, right? And me, like I just did a square calculator, which basically calculates the square and cube of a number, right? When I was just getting started with GitHub. But like as I started growing, my contribution started increasing, right? And that's how I ended up joining different organizations, started contributing there, and then the green dots started increasing, and then finally I'm here on 2021. So I think just to give you a feel about like how how you can actually relate GitHub to Instagram, right? So on Instagram, views, you get likes, you get comments, right? So here I think on a similar lines, you can get pull requests, you can get stars, you can get folks. That is something that can even sometimes it can even validate your idea. But it's not necessary that you have to get a lot of stars, a lot of folks to to ensure that your project is good enough. No, it's not required. But if community actually recognize your contribution, recognize your repository, then definitely they will end up starring your repo or poking your repo, right? And that gives you sort of for me it's like a satisfaction, right? That if I have written something and someone is actually starting this, or someone is trying to contribute that on that project, that gives me a good feeling that okay, I have done something and people are actually interested in contributing with me. So that was a little intro about GitHub and how you can actually make it your Instagram. Another interesting thing is your profile readme, right? I mean, this is like an entry gate for your profile, and this is something that you should actually maintain very nicely. You can put all good information, or maybe your contact information, what you are looking for, what's your skills, and there are so many GitHub actions which can help you to even put your Spotify playlist in this profile readme, right? Or maybe your latest tweet, or maybe your latest blog, or maybe how much time you are spending with VS Code. And so that is there. I mean, you can put it here, and users will be redirected to your profile, and they'll be interested in looking into your projects. And you can also pin your favorite projects here. I think I talked too much here. Maybe like I'll jump to the next slide. But before that, Niharika, would you like to add something here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Vineet. I think you have explained really well, like exactly what someone has to do in this phase, in their early phases. I would say the projects are something you may go for the quantity when you are just beginning with the projects. Just try everything. Maybe you are trying technology and maybe going for sample projects, but eventually start contributing for the good quality projects. As one of the major contribution I remember is Arogya Setu for sure, and that would
Right.
be always be like a memory for me. We did it in just 15 days. We had to plan everything according to millions of people out there. Uh, Different, if I'm an Android person, I talk about Android devices. We all have to consider all these aspects whenever you are going for a real world scenario. So anytime you are building something, you can also start with an idea what you really like. Let's say you like Zomato application in your device, or maybe it's any game application. Just try to visualize how it would look like if you write the code itself, and then just start writing or start implementing the same thing. And that's how anyone begin with project. I've heard many times that people don't get ideas how to start open source, how to start with good projects. Always start with ideas which you really love in your own device, which the apps or the UI or the UX flow you have already loved, and just start with that. And that way you will always get something beyond that and new ideas from it. We all improve every day. So yeah.
Thank you, Niharika. Thanks for sharing your journey. I think we'll talk more about your Arogya Setu contribution. I think that's really interesting. And maybe like before that, like you put really a nice point, right? So I mean, just work on your idea and put it on GitHub, right? So folks, like sometimes you might feel that you are not writing some quality code. Why should you put on GitHub? No, that's absolutely fine, right? You can even put a code to check even a odd number, right? So that's your journey. I mean, you are starting with writing a code to odd number, or maybe writing a calculator, and then eventually, your code quality, your complexity of the software that you are writing will keep on increasing as you grow, right? So as a beginner, I think you can even put anything, right? So and the second point which Niharika pointed out was really nice, that you have to find out the problem statement around you, right? So I think the one thing that Setu that Niharika just shared, right? She worked for Arogya Setu app. On this along the same line, so I was in when I was in Bangalore, right? And then when COVID hit, I remember like my mom was literally worried for me because there were a lot of rumors, and she was getting a lot of WhatsApp forwards that there are 1,000 cases which is reported in Bangalore, the area where I live, that's Indranagar, right? And she was literally worried, so I thought, okay, let's build something for her, meaning that some authentic for that. So I actually built one COVID-19 tracker, right? That's here. So that COVID-19 tracker is something which I built in a single night for my mom, to just view the overall stats and actual stats of corona in India. And trust me, it went viral in one night, right? I mean, in morning I shared with mom around at 5 a.m. I think, and then I went to sleep, right? And then when I wake up at around 2 o'clock, I found myself in the newspapers and everywhere that I did something, and I made a COVID-19 tracker which went viral, right? I mean, through WhatsApp. So I think if you problem, and it was a very simple website, right? If you check out the code, it's just a React app, right? Where I'm actually showing some graphs. It's still live, you can check this out. Link is here. So and then I guess I released a better version of it another 2 day, and then that's how it went, right? So I think like you just have to find the problem around you and try to solve it with your with the technology, right? And that's how you'll actually you'll start you'll start making an impact on around you, right? So I think during COVID, this is what we could do with our technology. Another example would be, right, try to do some hobby projects, right? So hobby project as in, sometimes you have something in your mind that you want to build, right? And why can't you build that? So I remember, right, on I'm not a very great fan of cricket. I never watch IPL, but back in 2019, when like there if any player, you know, hit six, Swiggy used to give us, you know, that I guess 60% discount whenever, you know, someone hit six. So I remember building one extension for myself just to order next. So it used to notify me that, okay, whenever there is a six, that, okay, there is a six, go and order your food, you'll get 60% off, right? So these are the things. I mean, you just have to find the problems around you and start solving it. Solve it using your code, put it on GitHub. You know, someone will like it. If not someone, I believe, right, someone will definitely like it. I mean, that's how, like, now you are getting a feel of, you know, why I always say that, you know, treat GitHub as your social media, right? And another example I want to give here, I think last year my sister got married. I thought, okay, let's create a website for her, right? And for her for her wedding invitation, and then I made it live, right? So that's again, like, I made it public. I mean, I made it on GitHub, and it's there, right? And I took RSVP from this website, right? Oh, sorry. uh, the mind. So that background music, I mean, it will give you feel of wedding. Okay. And another example which I want to give, maybe okay, so let's say if you are celebrating your friend's birthday or your partner's birthday, right? Why can't we do it using code, right? So I think this is something which I try to build long back, very old code of mine. So I try to make a normal, know, my friend to celebrate birthday, right? So I'll try to show this to you. Just give me a moment. How do I see it? Okay, just give me a moment, right? Uh, I'm using actually different laptops, so that's how I need to figure out a few things. Here you go, right? So it simply prints, you know, today is 6th day. I'm basically in Java, it will write happy birthday, right? So try to be creative. Like, if you are a creative coder, then I think, you know, you can I mean, you can do a lot of good stuffs there, right? Because coding plus creativity plus your skills, like, all together makes you a better software engineer. That's what I feel. So you can actually give it a shot. Like, I mean, like, if you are running out of ideas, think of hobby projects, like
I guess his voice dropped.
fixing some typo, or writing some documentation for them. Still,
Vineet, you were not audible for last 30-40 seconds, so I
okay,
think people were not
okay.
able to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Niharika. Thanks for pointing that out. Running with a very low bandwidth. Okay, so the next point was, how you can actually contribute on GitHub, right? So there are multiple ways to contribute, right? So I think a lot of people thinks that you have to be a very pro coder to actually contribute to GitHub. That's not true, right? You can even write documentation, you can fix typos. So there are a lot of people who contributed to Node.js just by fixing typos or writing documentation, right? You can fix small bugs. Bugs can be when, fixing a button or changing the color of button, or let's say fixing the div, right? Even the bugs can be complex, like let's say let's block some IPs, or maybe let's optimize the thread, sort of thing, right? And the another thing is now you can even suggest ideas, right? I think Niharika has pointed out really nicely. I think in Arogya Setu, she can actually talk more about that. But I think suggesting idea is another way of contributing, right? You can go there in community, in discussion thread of any organization, you can suggest your ideas. Like if you have something in your mind, you will find a team, you will find a people to work on that. So I think Niharika, if you would like to, add more here about suggesting ideas, like how you actually did for Arogya Setu.
Okay, so actually, Arogya Setu was something which was again government had tweeted a day like they wanted some technology-driven solution, because I think you guys can relate to it. A human mind can forget things, right? We don't even remember what happened 2 days back, 3 days back, or maybe we remember the things which would be like a 90 or 70%. So, but a technology or a machine would remember the things always. So if that is happening, so why can't we go for a technology driven solution? So the industry leaders were asked if they can provide this technology solution, and I think there were around 30 project ideas at that time, and we we won, and then how Arogya Setu started. So at for that one, we had to consider all the cases, as I told, like the smartphones which we have, they may have again a low RAM device. Then you have a Bluetooth. Whenever you are creating an idea, you have to consider all these things. Not just for the open source. As Vineet mentioned, if you are going from open source to creating an idea for a startup, then you would have to consider all these aspects. You are going to create for next billion of users, and if you are creating for them, you have to be cautious about all the things. They would consider the battery, they would consider the memory performance, they would be considering how you are securing the data, they would be considering exactly what information are you taking from them. So all these aspects you have to consider. So whenever you are making something open source, I would say always have that business idea in your mind also. That if someone is going to use your idea as their own for something as in their project, there are many open source libraries which people are really using. They just created those libraries. They just enhanced that idea after people started, other devs started using that based on what information the other devs would need for their own organization. So always have that business perspective in mind. And yeah, uh,
Thank you, Niharika.
yeah. Arogya
That's
Setu was again a big open source kind of thing for me, and I would say anyone who has worked on it. And every time when now I work on something, I always consider all the aspects, because now I got to know many perspectives from people.
I
So,
think I was so happy, right, when I saw, Niharika's tweet, and I think she also posted on Facebook that she contributed to Arogya Setu. So it feels, I think I feel honored to be her friend that, she has
I
contributed
I I have the
to a big
mutual
cause.
feelings the same way. We always have that, and even it was by luck actually. When I started with Android, they already had Android people, Android team there, and but I really wanted to work on it. And someone contacted me in my team for the iOS people. They had some issues with Android, and they asked me if I can just write a code about it. Even at that time, I was like, okay, I am writing the code, and you can just ask those people to add this code. But I think it was meant to me be there, and and those people just included me that why can't you just add it in the repository, because you have already done some research about it. So this is how my journey began with art.
Thank you for sharing your journey, Niharika. So I think that's the power of community, folks. So I think you
Yeah, yeah, true.
start putting your code on GitHub, and then a lot of opportunities will come along your way. So other
Exactly.
ways to contribute, actually, you can even review others' code, right? So I mean, no one is stopping you there, right? You can go and check out the pull request and just go there and review their code. And the way they are writing code, you will learn a lot, because I have learned a lot by looking into different people's code, because they are from industry. They have much more experience than me. If I check their code, then I learn a lot from them, right? And obviously you can always build features for the open source libraries. Another way to do is the report bugs, right? So I think that's like a habit of mine, that whenever I'm using some open source software or open source library, if I find that something is not working as expected, I'll go ahead and I'll file an issue there, right? So that's a good practice, right? That's how you are actually making to be, right? So if you are using some open source library, if you find that something is not working, you Google it out, you find a Stack Overflow thread and solve your problem, and then you leave it. I think that's not the right way. If you find something unexpected, please go ahead and file an issue, right? The maintainer will always be thankful to you that okay, you pointed them out and they can work on that. You can even make a contribution, you can create a pull request there, right? And I think, and getting started with any repository, README is the gateway. You can go to README. README has all the installation steps, again, all the resources which is required to get started there. So once you set up the project locally, then you try to run the test, right? I think test is the right place to get started, because excuse me. So test gives you the whole idea of the whole code flow, right? If you are done with that, then maybe you can check out some beginner friendly issues and ask maintainer to assign them to you. And if let's say once you are done with that, maybe you can maybe beginner friendly issues, you can check out the closed pull request of beginner friendly issues, right? So that you will learn like how people are actually solving that, and then try to connect with the admins, maintainers, mentors there, and they will always be happy to help you, right? So I think these are the ways how you can get started, how you can actually contribute.
One thing I would like to add here is
Yeah.
if you are not getting the beginner friendly issues when you start working on any project and you are working on a library which is already open source and you find a bug there, or you want to improve a feature, or maybe you manipulated the code according to your requirement, so you can create a pull request for that, so that that new feature can be like that will be available for the outside world if you are fixing a bug or maybe implementing a new thing over there. So I have done the same thing, so that would be really helpful because you have already done something in real world and now you are showcasing that to the real world by by showing your own code implementation. That will also be a good start.
Yeah, and for any sort of dose of motivation, Niharika is always there on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I think this I already spoke about, right? So maintain a streak on GitHub, not on Snapchat. That's cool for software engineer if you are maintaining a streak there, right? You can even flex about it on Twitter or maybe with your friends that you have 100% green dots there. But that's not the goal. Your goal should be learning, right? Learn as much as you can from GitHub. Moving ahead, so I think let's talk about different open source programs that open source has. So there are so many things, right? Google Summer of Code is there, MLH Fellowship is there, Girl Script Summer of Code is there, Script Win. I think GSOC is one of the premium open source program. So I think if you're targeting for GSOC, go ahead and check out the Google Summer of Code official website, and there you will find all the organizations. And these organizations must have beginner friendly projects, student friendly projects. And if you are targeting for GSOC next year, start from today itself, right? I think the best day to start was yesterday, but that's fine. You can start from today. Go there. First, decide your tech stack, right? Let's say if I'm interested in JavaScript, I'll organize. And then go there and try to shortlist 2 to 3 organizations. Why I'm saying 2 to 3? Because the competition is literally high, so you cannot rely on just a single organization. So to be on safe side, to have backups, you can actually try out in 2 to 3 organizations. Go there, check out their projects, set it up locally, and talk to the GSOCers of the previous year, right? I mean, you can find them on GitHub, and then get connected with them through email or maybe any social media, and set up some good with them, and just check with them, right? If if they are ready to help you, I think everyone will welcome you and they will help you, like what's the expectation of that particular organization for G-Shock, and then you can get started, right? The same process for all other programs also, right? MLH and all. Talk to the people who have been already been a MLH fellow, or maybe talk to the mentors, talk to the admin, and they will guide you, because I think until unless you don't talk to the right people, you won't find the right way, right? JavaScript, winter of code is summer of code is there, and there are so many. I mean, outreach is there, and these days Hacktor, which is currently running, and if you are interested in Hacktoberfest, we are actually running one initiative to help beginners to get started with open source. You can check out. Just give me a moment, right? I'll just drink water.
Talk about it.
Yeah,
Took the
please.
time. So yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Hacktoberfest is something where you will find the beginner projects, many technologies, many domains. Everything is mentioned in README, like which project you can take, which issues you can take, and you can even talk to. I have been Vineet and I both are like adding code from people out there, merging the requests, and they are just they may be just a curly brace mistake, there may be a spelling mistake, anything you can find, so that you people can just get started with open source. It's only for the beginner friendly projects, and you guys will be the right person to like right people to just go for all these projects. Also, there are some hackathons. Try to go for hackathons also. You just get 4 or 5 days to implement an idea. You will implement any idea, taking any, you will have some stress, deadlines, everything there. And in those 4 days, what you learn, you will never learn in 2 or 3 months. So just every time you have you see any hackathon, just try to apply for that.
And that's a very good point, Niharika. So guys, I think you can hack a lot of good things in hackathon. Please, whenever you get a chance. Maybe let's jump to the next slide. Right. So now let's talk about the open source opportunities that we have, right? So I'll just give you a few examples, right? So there are a few companies which actually reach out to the people who are doing great on GitHub, right? For example, HackerRank. So I think they reached out to me multiple times offering a job, and there are a few startups from USA. They also reached out offering me a job just by looking at my GitHub profile, right? So I highly believe, if you are maintaining a very great digital footprint out there, because in some years, right, the resume will be replaced with your digital footprint, right? Digital footprint is basically everything about you on the internet, be it LinkedIn profile, Twitter profile, or your personal blog, personal website, or maybe some feed that you are putting out on the internet, right? So that shows the authenticity of your work, that you have something done and you have put it on online, right? So I think open source brings a lot of opportunity to you. Even if you are doing GSOC, there will be organization who will be interested in hiring you for full time. And the another good part is like my friend like Vilva, he actually got his job just by raising a pull request. So he raised a pull request to one of the popular library for actually build tooling, and the maintainer reached out to him offering a job. So that's the beauty of open source, right? So even I got into the Postman through open source, right? So open source was something that triggered me to join Postman, and then I went there, and I think open source has helped me there. But before that, you have to learn coding, right? So I think data success is really important. Like Niharika pointed out that when you are building some software, you have to take care of storage, you have to take care of performance. I think all these basic things will only come into the picture when your fundamental is strong, right? So the idea here is to before becoming a software developer, become a software engineer, right? So, and software engineer is one who knows the fundamentals, and these fundamentals include your data structures, OOPS, DBMS, OS, networks, right? Because if you don't understand how does the computer work, how does the web works, how can you optimize that, right? So I think these fundamental helps you in a long run. So do not skip that, right? I mean, the ML, web, Android will sound literally cool to you, but I think, that is something that anyone can do, right? I started doing web dev when HTML was there, then Bootstrap came, then Angular came, then React came. Everything keeps on changing, right? But the fundamentals will never change. Array will never change. Trees will never change, right? So, and that's why I guess I believe like the filtration criteria for bigger companies is, this data success coding and all. Another reasoning here would be, right, React is created by Facebook, right? And now Facebook will never hire you to use React, right? They will hire someone to build React. That's the difference. Angular is created by Google. Now Google will never hire you to use Angular, right? They will hire build Angular for them. So that's the difference. Other day, I was talking with Niharika about my data success, right? So I think data success is really important, even in like right approx 3 years of experience, but if I want to switch my job, data success will come into the picture, right? So I think in the next slide, Nihal will talk more about how you can actually decide your next step. Niharika, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Vineet. So yeah, one thing that he explained very well was understand the basics of anything, because if you know the basics, you can eventually go for any language. Let's say if you are in first or second year of your college and you just grabbed one language, maybe that is Python, React, or web, anything you are doing, and after 4 years if that language is not there, that language is deprecated, and it can happen, right? Earlier .NET was like on hype, then it now it just getting used by just few companies or maybe few MNCs where people mostly don't go. So what would you do? So every time, if you have your basics clear, that would really help you out in figuring when you get out of your college, or maybe if you are starting with any project. Every language have just syntax difference. Every if you go for Python, if you go for Java again, Android is something which is again related to Java. So everything is related. Only the language, how you write, as you have Hindi, English, Punjabi, any language is there. That's the same way you have languages in technology. But ABC is something like what you are the expressions, what matters, right? In same language, the basics are C++ and data structures. What you really need to follow, the one thing is, whenever you are starting, uh no one talks about this when you are in college. Everyone talks about, okay, just go for this language, just go for that language. I would say always start by understanding what really excites you. Maybe it is something for me, in my fourth year I got to know that, okay, I love mobile development. I love how Android, I was fascinated by how things are getting done. I'm just writing the code and it is shown me to me in front of in just in front of me. I can see what the changes are. Then someone can have a passion around how the things are working behind the scenes, the back end part. Someone wants to create a website, someone wants to create a software, then you may go for hardware. Understand your interest first. Just don't follow where everyone is, the crowd is going. You need to focus and just relax for some time, and see what possibilities would be there, what would be good for you only. And being an engineer, you can always try different paths. And then if you are going for one thing at a time, always remember you need to focus one thing at a time. I have got this question many times that, okay, I am learning data structures, but I think I could go for maybe learning. Do you think I should go for Python? Do you think I should go for data science, ML? People always confuse these things. Never get confused. till your third year, I would never suggest anyone to just go for any domain language. This is my perception again. You may have different interests, but I would say make your third year when you get the vacations, and then you can focus on the projects itself. But if those basics are clear before that time, surely go for the projects. But yes, those basics should be clear, and then you prefer, and then you get to know, okay, I love to do writing a code which may run for a billion of users out there, or maybe I need to create a game. This way you get interest in something. And always ask questions. Every time whenever you are joining a company, or maybe you are a fresher, even if Vineet and I are talking here, and sometimes you feel, okay, if I ask this question, it may sound stupid. Never feel that. Even if you ask me what is Android, I would answer it, because I was in that same stage when at which you are right now. And you should be asking the questions. Asking something will always clear you with, so you are clear since the beginning. Otherwise these questions will pile up, and you won't be able to focus on other things till those questions are answered. So always ask question whenever you're working on something, and you find some people on Twitter, or maybe some open source, just keep asking them in a polite way, for sure, but yes, just keep asking them.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
yeah,
really a nice point, right? I mean, I always say that curiosity will take you long, not the coding, right? So I think in a
exactly,
long run,
exactly.
if you are curious, because once you join your company, right, it's never about writing code. It's always about solving a problem. And to solve a problem, you have to ask questions. You have to understand the problem. So that
True.
collaboration is the key in the company. Communication is the key in the company. I at the end, I'll share my 10 lessons which I learned so far in my software engineering journey. That will make you understand that uh, it's not only coding, right? Coding is just a single part of the whole software engineering. I
Exactly,
think,
exactly.
yeah. Thank you, Niharika. Next up,
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
a very interesting topic, right? Desk job versus freelance. So I think Niharika would start. Hey, Niharika,
yeah, yeah.
what do you
Uh,
prefer?
okay, so before that, now if we have talked about the communication, so we are expecting a lot of questions in the Q&A. So now, and this is another question, because we are exploring different parts when we are in college, right? You might get questions like, okay, should I just start on working on my idea, or should I just go for a sitting job in an office and doing a going for a part time or a full time? We always have these questions. But I would say most of the CTOs, if you see, you will always see in their resume that they might have worked 10 years or maybe 15 years in an organization, learning all the things from the leaders and then going for that. So it never depends on it mostly depends on, if you are having some experience on something, that experience will always help to manage the teams, to manage the ideas, to manage the risk involvement. So always prefer again, these all are from my experiences or our perceptions, but I would say, when you have experience in something, the risk taking will become, that will be lesser than what you will have in just going for any idea or project out in the world. So yeah, can you just make the name move to
Yeah,
the next
sure.
slide?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so yeah, as I said, there's no correct answer for this. It always depends. Sometimes you have an idea, you have a strong opinion around it, you know what will be the future. You can't see that problems really solved out in the world. If you already know that this problem is there and you have a great solution, please go for it. Connect with people who have the same interest, but those people should always have the same dedication what you have right now. You can't go with someone who can't trust you with that idea. So you have to build that trust. That's why people take a job, understand the things, make good connections, make a trust, and then they go for their own startups and get to know, like, okay, now I know how to deal with people, and I can also have the public relations. Also, like any idea, if you find, you just can go and check if that interests you. You have to see if that is, again, if you are solving for the users, you can't just go for, okay, sometimes a UI is looking good to me, but that is not good for a user. User is not that that they may not sound that technical, that the knowledge you have right now. So you have to consider all these aspects whenever you are building a product, even with your when you are just starting with that. That's why all these points are always related to the experience always help in building the product. And you can just, and anyways, when you start with full time, you can anyways start with doing part-time projects. I have done, I think Vineet is already doing that. So we can parallelly do the things, because now we know how to exactly what the customer wants, and we can build our own ideas around it.
That's a, I mean, very good point. So guys, yeah, I think the job is one thing, but you can even do freelancing. So there are a lot of opportunities out there, right? So you can just create your account on Upwork, and then from your connections, you just put a tweet, and people will reach out to you with freelance jobs. And I think that helps you a lot. Once you, because in company there can be a chance that you are not getting a project of your choice, right? Because the company has a very diverse culture, very diverse projects, diverse tech stack, right? So let's say I love JavaScript, but in my company I'm getting C++ project. Okay, that's fine. Just to save my job, I'll work on that. But as a freelancer, I can choose my own tech stack, right? I can choose my own project. So that's the good part of freelancing, which I love, and I prefer to do freelancing on my weekends. And I think that helps you to earn money, build connections, and learn new things. So these are, I mean, three major benefits of doing freelancing. Moving ahead, I guess we have covered a lot of things. Now let's talk about product versus service based companies, right? Because as a fresher, all of you might have a doubt, right? Where should we go? Whether shall we go for product based or service based or startups? So I think, Niharika, if you could just throw some light on this.
Okay, so I would really want to understand from the audience first, like, what do you understand by this product and service based companies?
Yeah.
Most of you might be getting some opportunities in college, or so. Any answers in the chat itself?
Yeah,
Like,
that
what
works.
do you understand by, if I talk about product based, or if I talk about service based? What do you understand by that? Any answer you want to give here?
That would be really interesting. Like, if someone could just unmute yourself and just share your opinion.
Yeah, it can be, again, it can be wrong. That's totally okay. uh, just don't go for that. I just want how curious you are to know about this. I just don't want, yeah. Yeah, product based companies have their own product. Yeah. Anyone else? Product based would be if we create an application for someone. Okay. Pay mode. Yeah, Aditya, you are already a money minded person, so yeah. That would help you in future.
I think that was the answer we are looking for.
Exactly. Service based would be if we are maintaining something for them. Example, DevOps. Yeah, correct, Piyush. Yeah, one of the things. Service based companies usually give their services to another company. True. Yeah, actually, not for someone. Himanshu has said it in a correct way. Like, they are creating product for themselves, for their own users. Okay, so we might go for the slides itself. Yeah, writing code from scratch. Herschel, it can happen with service based also. They are also writing the code from scratch. But yeah, somewhere the perception could be the same. So what happens is, service based company is something, again, as already mentioned in the chat. They are providing services to another companies, another organization. They are not directly connected or related to the users like us, like customers. Their customers are another organizations. They are building their products for those organizations. Maybe there are some softwares which other companies are using, right? uh, or let's say if some companies are like they are building some SDK, they are building some libraries, and these are just getting used by other companies. So these are the service-based companies. They are providing their services to another organization. Our product-based company will have their own products. They will be building and directly connecting with us as users. So always remember this difference whenever you are segregating the companies which are there. And also, as we talk about a service based company, again, I have always been into product based companies. This can be again my perception, but mostly even my friends were there in the service based companies. Service based companies have already built their services, as like Himanshu mentioned. I think no someone mentioned that code from scratch thing, Harshit. So what happens is, mostly the things are already built. You just get to work on a feature, or just doing some fixing a bug, or maybe maintaining that. Mostly the things get into a maintenance phase because the services are already provided to someone, and you can just they have already built the product. But when you get into a product based company, what happens is, sometimes they are just starting. They are the early age startups. They You get to know exactly how the idea started, what can be the flow. You can learn everything, like starting from the UI UX part, then going for the development, then going for testing. You are the only one who is doing everything out there. So you can imagine the learning curve which you will get in a product based company. So as a fresher, I always suggest, even my friends, my cousins, they should go for it. They should go for a product based company rather than uh, I'm sorry if I'm naming those companies like TCS, Infosys, IBM. All these companies are service-based companies. You might go for these companies when you are going for a comfortable job. The work-life balance, again, you will have a 9 to 5 job. And being a fresher, never expect like you should have a work-life balance for sure. You shouldn't be in a comfort zone. You should have that mind, and we are like always have a curiosity to learn things. I would say product-based company would provide that to you. So choose wisely when you are deciding a company. Just don't go in a comfort zone. Okay, I have just got TCS, so I should go for it. You should think like what kind of project you will be working on, and if that will be beneficial for your future or not. Because the first 3 4 years are highly valuable when you are starting with your career. After that, you will get comfortable with what you are doing. My friends are not able to change their companies, change their organizations, because the kind of work they were doing, that is limited. They haven't learned the things much. And as I told you, like, you will be the owner of everything you are doing, so you are a multitasker. You have already got that mindset of leadership, the honor. So a product based company is providing you many things out there. But yes, job security, you can't consider job security with a product based company. Product might succeed, product might fail, but with a service based company, what happens is they always have different organizations aligned. If one organization is not using their product, other organizations will be using that. So job security is there. But again, I would contradict this statement. When you are starting, you are an engineer. If you believe in your knowledge, you shouldn't care about uh, taking a risk with some company, with some organization. If that idea fails, you have already learned many things, and you can apply those learnings in another organization. You just need to prepare on again 15 20 days. But again, this will eventually uh, change when you go like when you are married or you have many responsibilities. But till that time, just don't care about all these things. And yeah, things are like fixed when you are working in a service based company. But with product based companies, they are very chill, they are very cool, calm, flexible around the time. Maybe you have completed the work in 3 days, you don't need to work the next 2 days. So yeah, these are some of the perks also with product based companies.
You,
Yes.
you have really put a nice point, Niharika, there. So I must say, in product-based companies, you get to live the all the phases of software development life cycle. So that's the beauty, right? I think you get to be part of the ideation phase. You get to be part of defining architecture and then writing code and then maintaining that, getting user feedback. So that's a really nice experience. So with that, we'll move on to the next slide. Uh, Niharika, would you like to talk about like how we can actually improve ourselves?
Yes. Before that, Kshitij, I would answer your question. Can you just put this in the Q&A? I would really want to answer this question. Okay. We always say, what would be the roadmap for like becoming a good developer, the best developer out there? There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. This is just as an assumption, I would say. You can never be a perfect in anything. Even Vineet and I are not. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, we are not perfect. But yes, you can.
Even close to perfect.
Exactly. But you can just go and you can just try yourself. You can just improve every day. That consistency is the key, as Vineet mentioned in the open source. And also, I have not been into open source that much, but I have contributed in community through public speaking. uh, Sharing knowledge can happen anyway. With public speaking, you're writing about something which you have learned in Android development. You can go anyway. You can mentor people with the knowledge you have, the way we are doing right now. We are just sharing our experiences and knowledge, right? Whenever you are can you just go to the previous slide, Vinny? We had for the previous one. Yeah. Okay, so whenever you're starting with something, just choose the correct people. With again, as we were mentioning, that you can follow the people work on Twitter, on LinkedIn. That is the best resource. Always find who are motivating you outside. You may find many friends out there. They would say, okay, why would you do it? अरे यार कोई बात नहीं, बहुत time है. Sorry, I'm using Hindi, but I know you guys can relate that. They are like, okay, बहुत time पड़ा है यार, we can do the things. मतलब ऐसे you should be having people who should be motivating you every day. If you do a little thing, they will be like, oh, you can, oh yeah, you have done a really a good job, and you can just keep doing it. Maybe this can prove a good idea for anyone, for someone out there. Then we have whenever you are learning things, as we mentioned, see, you should be having a good programming. You should be following the good programming practice. And that comes when you review the code which is already there on the GitHub, when you see how people write code, when you also contribute to others code and getting the feedback from them, and applying that feedback. Whenever you're getting a feedback, always remember that you should be taking that feedback in a constructive way. Otherwise, what happens is, if you keep asking people that, okay, why, how would you, how dare you point this that I can't do this, or I can't write like this, don't go for that. Always take feedback as constructive feedback. These will always help you out, because if someone has taken time to improve you, remember, they are devoting some time. So never think like someone is pointing you out. Always be taking that feedback, and that will for sure help you out in improving your code. So always, just whenever you are raising a PR, ask as many people as you can. When you start with a team itself, there is a process of reviewing the code. There are seniors who will guide you what exactly you need to improve, or are you going in the right path or not. So always take those feedbacks. And uh, there will be a new change in technology every day. You can't cope up with everything out there, but you need to understand one thing: you should be updated. If let's say if someone is from Android, I can give you an example for that. Is Google I/O just happened, and if you don't know exactly what is happening out there in the world, then you are losing something. You need to understand you can't go in deep till the time you're working on something, but you can know about the things what are exactly happening in your domain. So just remember and just keep learning and reading about a new thing every day. Then when you are starting with projects, you can experiment and learn new things always. I am a university topper. I am a gold medalist in academics, but I didn't get a good job was in my college. And the reason was I did diploma instead of doing 12th. And I was rejected in the last round, saying that how could you come to the last round? Haven't the interviewer seen your resume that you haven't done 12th? And if we talk about girl or a boy, I don't consider that. I was the only girl reaching out from those 120 people from CS and IT, reaching out to the last round, and I was told this thing. And it has happened in many companies. And last day I was just fed up. This demotivates you that you are a university topper. How would people react to it and everything? But I think that again, after you have some stories around it, you get to know, okay, it's okay. You have some people, you have your parents to guide you out. And after 1 year, those companies started reaching out to me because I didn't lose at that time. I knew that I want something in life, and I can't just sit. And you will always have reasons in life. You have to find the solutions. You just need to remember this. I am now in Google. I just cracked Google and Microsoft. I have never imagined that I would go for these companies, and this was my first attempt. So I am the only person in those few years from my college who has cracked this, and no one has imagined it, right? So you always have your destiny planned according to yourself. You can't see others going for any success, or if others don't need to fail if you have to succeed in life. You need to create your own path for that. And yeah, lastly, it might sound like non-technical, but you have to make your parents proud. They have done a really, they are doing many things, and we can't just pay for those things. But you need to remember all these debts you have. So just keep yourself motivated. It might sound like we didn't want to go for the technical roadmap for this. All these points are there. Whenever you are in college, you need to understand all these aspects, but no one talks about it. So yeah, just be the master of your own destiny. No one, even Vineet and I, are just talking anything. This might sound boring to you, some of you, but you just need to understand some few things, that no one can guide you for they can guide you, but they can't create your destiny. You are the only one for doing this.
Right, but I today I think about Niharika. So she is a college topper. Nice. This is something
Yeah,
I
I
think,
have got a governor. I have got a gold medal from governor itself. So yeah.
that's
But yeah,
another
it's just that yeah, it's just that everyone has their own stories. I don't think I don't consider, or I've never regretted. I don't have regrets in life. Anytime I wanted to do anything, I just did that. Just do that. Never have if you want to go for government jobs, if you want to go for, okay, I want to learn this technology, just go for that. Yeah, you might have you have got so much time. You are just in your college. Don't just consider the failures you have. You all have failures. We are just talking about the success. I got Google or Microsoft, but I may have many failures, like I told you. So talking about failures is also as important as talking about the success. So yeah, this
yeah,
is just my perception.
yeah, that's very true, Niharika. I totally agree on that. Like right now, if you know, like all of you know, might be knowing now that I work with Postman, but you never know the side story, right? So I
True.
got my first job after 22 rejections in HR round. So I think the first company I got interviewed with
Oh,
Microsoft,
okay.
everything went well, and then I mean, like I couldn't crack the final HR round, and same happened for Amazon and other companies like Gozek and all, right? So I think, but I'm very happy that through all those interview experiences, I learned a lot, right? In every interview, I learned a new thing that
Right,
and
right.
that has made me a person which I am now, right? So I
Right,
think with
true, true.
rejections you learn a lot, you grow a lot, and that's how I actually, initially I never dreamed of Microsoft or Google or Amazon. I was just thinking, okay, somehow I'll get some 5 to 6 lakh CTC, that should be fine. And once I started cracking interviews, then I felt that there is something inside me, I can make it big, right? And then
Exactly.
I actually started looking for a bigger opportunity, and that's how I ended up into Postman. So I think and if you are dreaming big, then you have to take risks. So I got
Yeah,
my first
yeah.
job in Bank of America. I left it immediately because I don't want to get settled for a bank. Then I found in I think Hacker Earth was there. Then that also I left, and then I was actually looking for something where I can actually grow a lot and something exciting to work. So I think you have to be a little patient and work hard. And I think one suggestion I would say, you have to do coding. There is no I think no escape, no shortcut for that. Learn data success, Azure fundamentals, so that I mean that's the thing that can fetch you a high paying job and even your dream job, right? If you have other plans like joining some startup just through your skills like web dev or UI designing or maybe Android, that could be another path. Then I think data success can only save you. Niharika,
Yeah, I would
because
say
I can
one
taste
thing.
it.
I would say one thing here. I don't know, like if people think like if I already got Microsoft and Google, I'm saying that. But trust me, to be honest, Google and Microsoft was never a dream for me. And this is actually true. If you ask my family or anyone, I always dreamt of one thing, that wherever I am, I should be creating an identity of who I am. People should know who Niharika is. People should know, just by name. I people can just remember me. And then this was a thing which was there in me in my first 5 years, 6 years, and this is what helped me out in cracking these companies. And so if you're not able to uh, just dream the toughest one for sure, just go have a goal for the toughest company. But if you're not getting it, don't lose hope. If I would say, a startup, also a product based company, any company would give you a good growth, and you can eventually anytime you can just practice and the interview and the coding part, and you can just anytime crack that. Yeah, it should never always be just having the fang word in your mind. To be honest, if a company wants to work 6 days, and if you know that that work really excites you, go for that. You can't compare your work with anyone else if someone is getting 5 days or 4 days a week. But if you are getting a good work, and if you are really enjoying the work, the company, the culture, everything out there, that will always benefit you. In my internship, I had worked 7 days, 6 days a week, but that project really helped me out in cracking a big company. When the very first company which I got, and I got a good package in off campus placement. People say that off campus you don't get that. So there was a question, right, from Shitish. Should Vinny, should we move to the quick Q&A part? I think we are already done with the presentation, right?
Yeah, let's take the questions.
Sure, sure. So there was a question from Kshitish, like product-based companies require experience. Not really, actually. I have this perception for the MNCs, where they want you to have a degree, the kind of formal thing where like you have a degree, then you should be this year pass out and everything. So few companies might need an experienced developer. So what happens is, this is also changed in pandemic also, like a fresher, making teaching a fresher in pandemic is more difficult than guiding a professional who is already doing the work. But there are companies, there are early age startups. If you start doing as all the points we have covered, if you start doing open source, if you start contributing in community through Stack Overflow, through writing something, through uh, these talks, anything, you have already experienced, and I have seen those people getting hired by these product based companies, not even taking the interviews. They are not taking interviews from them. So again, there are exceptions, and you have to become an exception. This is the only option out there. Otherwise, many people are doing BTech, many people are doing computer engineering. How can you make a difference? You need to understand that. I hope this answers your question.
Niharika, now, I feel like, people will be like, we are giving them a TED talk.
Yeah. So yeah, let's come to like in a more informal way.
यार नहीं तो ऐसा लगेगा इनको कि ये लोग आए बस इतनी मोटिवेशन
But yeah, if at least one of them gets motivated out of these all, we'll be happy. We'll more than happy that they have started doing something in life.
Yeah. So, Niharika, I guess we have received a few questions. Let's take one by one. So I think the first question is, what is a GitHub star? GitHub star. I think first I'll answer how to become a GitHub star. I think I never thought that become a GitHub star. I was just doing my work on GitHub, and somehow GitHub has recognized my work, and I'm really thankful to them that they have recognized my efforts out on open source. And I think how to become is that people has to nominate you. That if someone is getting influenced by you, and someone thinks that you are a right fit for becoming a developer who can influence others, then they can nominate you. And once they nominate you, I think I'm not sure, like there are 40 million users on GitHub, right? So there will be a lot of nominations. So to stand out your profile, I think it totally depends upon how much GitHub, like what kind of projects you are doing, what kind of community contribution you are doing, right? So what kind of collaboration you are doing there, right? Be it a hackathon or YouTube live or maybe a blog or maybe a open source project. So all these are counted. So I think to become a GitHub star, never target to become a GitHub star, right? So first thing, be make it clear that you just have to be a GitHub user and work honestly, work for the community, collaborate, code, and help people, influence people. I think someone from GitHub will recognize you as a GitHub star, and we'll always be happy to nominate you as a GitHub star if we find that you are doing really great stuff out for the community. And next question is to Niharika. So I completed a virtual course in Android Dev with Kotlin. What should be my next step, and how to find projects like Arogya Setu? Niharika, over to you.
Okay. So I would answer the first question. When you were Harshal, when you were doing the course, you must have got some assignments or some projects. If you have already got that is really fine. If you haven't got that, then that means you have to actually practically do the hands on those concepts, because just learning and reading things what more won't might help you out. And and you can start your open source or maybe just GitHub journey with that, like learning any new concept, just appending those concepts in the idea of that project, and then putting that project on your GitHub. So I would say practical hands-on should be there. And if that course hasn't provided you, mostly there are courses which are providing assignments. If that course hasn't provided you, you should start with that. And now your journey shouldn't stop there. You might create more projects out of it, and that way you are building your resume as GitHub. And again, people can just see your work out there, and your half of the interview is already done. So you should go for that. Then how to find projects like Arogya Setu? Yeah, Arogya Setu was just one in a million. Don't target. I just hope that we don't get that kind of pandemic situation. But yeah, jokes apart, it's like again, when we talk about open source, whenever you are working on something, any library which is already open source, go for just file a bug. If you find there, just write and raise a PR or any feature which you had uh, implemented in your project, you can always, many libraries are open source out there. You can just Google search, and as we have the tag like beginner friendly projects, you can just start from those projects, and eventually when you start working with libraries and frameworks, you will get those kind of projects. And again, when you see people, we talk about people on LinkedIn and Twitter, they always put their projects out there, and you can just ask them if you can contact their projects. So these are the stepping stones, like you can just start with those.
I think this question is a GitHub extern seat, so I think I'm not very sure about this. Like, what is the question? So maybe you can, Himanshu, you can reach out to me in detail about your questions on my Twitter, because I think right now we are running out of time. Next question is, can we participate in open source programs after 4th year? No, I guess you can be part as a mentor, but not as a student. Like, you can't be a GSOC student. You have to be in your college. I think, when I was in college, I came to know about GSOC in 3rd year, right? I don't have that much exposure, like, and no one was there to mentor me. And like when I actually, came, I was already working in Postman, so I ended up becoming mentor for Google Summer of Coders. So I never get a chance to become, GSOC as a student. So I think, that's again, like, right now I feel, so happy about you guys that you are getting such different people. I think, and Twitter has changed a lot of things, right? You can connect with anyone and ask your questions. In my time, I guess, maybe I was so introvert and I never interacted with anyone. So yeah, it's there. How will I know that my basics are clear, right? That's a very good question. I think, like, one thing I would say, right, take mock interviews. So there are already a lot of websites where you can schedule your mock interviews, right? Mentoring Club is there, Pramp is there, even Interview Bit is there. And, someone will peer interview you, and then they will give you feedback. So I think that's the way. And you can even reach out to us. I mean, we are on Mentoring Club. Even Niharika is on Mentor Cruise and other platforms, and she can actually take a mock interview for you, and come to know, because we'll give you the honest feedback. And it's always a good idea to go for mock interview. Maybe
Even when I was preparing mock interview, actually I did mock interview for 1.5 months with my friend. If you get a few seniors, maybe even in college, if you are not able to like go for a paid mock interview, you can just ask your senior to devote a half an hour or an hour to you, and they can just ask you questions out there. Or also, if you can prepare with your friend, that would also really help. But you have to prepare like an strict interviewer, not like having a discussion. A mock interview can never have a discussion. They just need to have a strict interview. So just remember those points.
true. I think that, that mindset should be there, because I think that
Yeah,
pressure,
yeah,
because if you are very comfortable, then I guess you are not
exactly,
practicing.
exactly. Yeah.
Then there is a question from Himanshu. According to me, some companies didn't allow freelance during their permanent job. Is this correct? So I think for my company, it's not correct, because I'm doing freelance with multiple companies, and I mean, Postman has never stopped me to do this. Niharika, maybe you can talk about it.
Actually, every company has this in agreement. So don't call us when you get like caught. But yes, every company has this in agreement. Till the time you are not using their resources, like you're not using their laptop, you're not using their any resource for your freelancing, your free time, you can anyhow anytime do freelancing. Just remember that you are not using their resources. Maybe you can have a different laptop or desktop setup at your home, and you are doing freelancing with that laptop and in your free time. That's perfectly fine. No one can stop you. But there have been cases where people were doing their own projects and they were doing on the system. I think there were cases from Google and Facebook when that project was like on hype. uh, Google said that it was done on our system, so it's our project. I'm not sure about Google, but there was some company who has done this, and I have seen two instances. So you have to be cautious about all these things when you are working on your own project or you are working on freelancing. Just keep just segregate those resources, what you are using for company and what you are using for your freelancing project, and then that is totally fine. You will always have this in your agreement. That is totally fine.
Niharika, we have it's about 5:30 now, so I think we'll
Yeah.
briefly take the last two questions, and maybe for other doubts, guys, we'll always be there on Twitter. So I think one question is, as a second year undergrad, how can I improve my programming logic? I think, there is no magic to improve your programming skills. You have to be consistent. You have to code daily, right? I mean, spend 1 or 2 hours every day. If you are in very early stage of your engineering, you are in second year, so create account on maybe HackerRank, HackerOut, LeetCode. There are so many websites, right? And practice daily, because once you practice there, you will get a global exposure. You will see your rank, and I never refer solutions. I mean, like, one mistake that everyone does, that once you don't get the logic, you immediately refer the editorial, or you immediately Google it out. Right? No, think. I mean, struggle for the solution. Spend 2 hours, 3 hours. If you don't get it, leave that question. Try out new question. After 2 to 3 days, come back to that question, right? And there will be time when there is some algorithm behind that, and you have to learn that algorithm. Refer YouTube videos or any. If you're doing that, then I guess you won't gain the logic, right? Because logic is something which is quite different from the syntax. So that is there. And again, I think quantity doesn't matter here. Quality matters, right? No matter whether you are solving 1,000 problems or 2,000 problems. If you are not doing it honestly, then it's of no use, right? So I think be honest to you. Keep working, keep coding every day, spend 2 hours every day, and I mean, connect with the communities, right? So I have my friends from like different communities, like from HackerRank, from LeetCode, right? And that's how, like, we like, if you like someone's code, you can connect with them, and they can help you even in more better way. And take part in the competitions, right? That coding competition that happens, right? Because that will give you a I treat that as a test match, right? Before you go for actually your final exam for your placement. So I think these are the ways. I mean, do coding with happy mind. Do not do, like, do not get frustrated, because initially you might get frustrated, because initially I think beginning is always tough. I remember, like, when I started coding, it used to take 3 days for me to solve a single problem, right? But I think within 6 months I was able to solve 3 questions in a day. So that should be your transition, right? So and when you are doing coding, there will be a lot of ups and downs. Be ready for that. And the sad part about coding is that there is, you don't have a immediate output. Let's say if you're learning Android, if you're learning web, you can create a website within one week or 2 week. You have something to show. But if you are doing coding, if you are doing data success, if you are doing competitive coding, you will feel that you are not gaining something. But trust me, you are gaining everything, right? I mean, within 6 months, 7 months, you will find yourself at a better place. You will be able to solve medium problems on HackerRank, LeetCode, even hard problems on LeetCode, right? And I think just a few points. Niharika, would you like to add something here, or maybe we can jump to next question?
Mostly you have covered everything.
Okay, Niharika. I think the last question is, I mean, very interesting question. Niharika, can you please take this question, the Aditya's
Yeah.
question? That
Yeah. So I'm currently working in the field of data science and machine learning. Recently, I have this thing in my mind that I only like data science because of the software engineering aspect of it. I really like coding in Python and scripting. I'm not entirely sure if I want to go ahead into data science or switch to software engineering. How do I decide what to do ahead? Okay. Also, my profile is optimized for data science. If I decide to change to software engineering now, how should I go about it? Okay. So, if you talk about profile, are you talking about the projects you have recently done? Aditya, can you answer this in the chat itself? Like, are you talking about the projects you have done, or what do you mean by profile here? Because you all are in college, right? So I assume that you are not into an organization working on.
Right. And I believe, as a, I mean, fresher, I think uh, I don't see that, there will be a specific roles like data
Yeah,
science.
true. That's why I
These
need to
big four
understand.
companies, yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
Aditya, you are already here, right? You can just unmute yourself and talk
Uh,
about it.
yeah, I meant like, most of the programs that I have been part of are related to machine learning. And also, like, I have done internship and projects mostly in the field of data science. And apart from that, if I, wanted to go ahead and do data science, then I would consider masters. Or, if I chose to become a software engineer, then I would, start right now practicing DSA and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, DSA and stuff will always help you out, actually. This is not an option. Coding, learning, and learning the problem solving skill is not an option or not an alternative between choosing between a software engineering, coding, or data science. Never consider that. You should always have the basics clear, and then again, the question you have, like, to going for software engineering or data science, I would say this will always be like, when you have already cleared your basic, you can anyways switch to any technology or again any domain whenever you want, if that basic is clear. But if you are not clearing those basics and you are just depending on doing and going for the data science part, that would be okay only if you want to stick to data science, right? You are just gaining all the things, every knowledge around data science only. But again, as you said, you're mostly interested with software engineering aspect of it, and you learn Python and scripting. Again, Python is again a language, right? You are again making yourself specific to a domain. So before that, I would say just keep doing your this data science part, but your basics should be clear. Any day, if you want to switch to software engineering part, any day if you want to go for any domain, or if there is Python not there, what would you do? Right? So don't just make yourself restricted to a language or a domain. So that would really help. Vinny, do you want to add something to it?
no, I guess you have covered everything. I think last two questions. One is starting coding from fourth year. Is it too late? No, I guess it's not late. You can
Yeah,
still, you have
yeah,
in fourth year is 1 year, right? You can code for
yeah,
6 months
true.
and then you'll be pro.
Yeah, even if you are starting coding after 2 years, if you are not in college, and after 2 years you start, any day you start, you should start. Just
Right.
you should start.
I think, and the last question is it necessary to do competitive programming to crack product-based companies? I guess, like, I would say, for cracking product-based companies, you have to know programming, you have to know data structure, you have to know algorithms, right? And I think to learn that, to excel that, competitive programming helps. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people actually don't relate all these points.
right.
So and being a fresher, it's totally fine. We all had these same questions when we were freshers. So this is
True,
totally fine. So
true.
as Vineet mentioned, you should be learning, and then to check if you are now good at it or not, you should go for competitive programming. Why do you fear? Why do you have a fear of anything out there? Not, no one is judging you. It's totally okay if you feel that.
I think another question is how to get a good idea for our process. I think, getting idea is something you have to find the problems around you. So you'll definitely find, some you can build utility tool for developers. I mean, they just look for your day-to-day life. The things that you are doing, you might find something is missing there, and you can solve for that. For example, right? Like recently, I wrote a module which basically it does that. It lists all the issues for Hacktoberfest. I mean, it's just a simple Node.js module, right? So because I mean, a lot of people were struggling with that, right? To finding the issues which is available for Hacktoberfest. So I thought, okay, let's write a module for that, right? So I mean, that's how you end up getting such ideas. And another question is how and when to start working for G-Shock 22. I think from yesterday, but you can start from today now, and go and just check out all the organizations, and just find your organization. And as I already mentioned, right, look into their code, set up the project locally, look for the merge pull request, talk with the G-Shock alumni, and then their experience, and get in touch with the maintainers and mentors there, and they'll help you out. With that, I guess we are done with the questions. Thank you so much, Niharika. Anything you want to say? Now I started my car.
Yeah, no, I think I hope the questions we answered, this will help them out in figuring what they have to do in life. Maybe, and they can always reach out to us on Twitter or LinkedIn. We are always available, even though like even though we are working somewhere, but we will reply for sure. Just anytime you have any questions, please ask.
But I think this session I'll for guys actually.
Yeah, it was too good. Yeah.
I stopped in midway, and there was a river, so I was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I really enjoyed. People were really interactive. They were interacting in between the sessions, and this makes you feel like, okay, even being in virtual world, you are able to connect with people, and we were getting an understanding. Okay, people are understanding what we are trying to say. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Niharika.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It was really an amazing session, and we had a lot of insights. Thank you for this session. And thank you all for joining the session. Yeah, Aditya, if you have something to say.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for coming in such a short notice, and thank you for joining. Plus, both of you gave like really some amazing insights, especially the projects aspect of it. Like, all the projects that you showed, Vinny, were really, really cool. Especially that, website one, like Happy Birthday website one, and that, Chrome extension. So, like, really, thank you for both of you joining us, and thank you everyone for who joined and stayed tuned. Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm ending the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.